Hello friends, we will start with the third unit, which is the circulatory system, and the heart is the circulatory system in the human body. So before getting into the topic, you need to have a clear understanding that the 4 units of the 10th syllabus, first 4 units are being interlinked. So you must have the knowledge about the unit nutrition in order to have a better understanding about the unit respiration, and the third unit comes the heart, and the fourth unit is the excretion. So the 4 units are being interlinked. Even if you miss a concept in respiration, understanding the unit of circulatory system would be a bit tougher. So because all these things are the life process which goes on in a human being, and all these things are interlinked because all these things happen in the human body. So we will discuss nothing about heart in this unit. I mean to say nothing from the textbook. I'll give a general idea about general information which you should know in order to have a better understanding about the topic. So I will revise you from the first unit. In the first unit, nutrition, we have read that the food particles, the glucose, is being absorbed with the help of the small intestines, villi, and it is being released into the bloodstream. Bloodstream is the blood which is being carried in the nervous system. And in the second unit, respiration, we understood that the lungs help in taking in the oxygen and giving the oxygen to the bloodstream, and from the bloodstream the oxygen reaches the food substances and break down the glucose substances and release the energy. So you know that both these things are interlinked. So from the first two units you understood that the glucose is in the bloodstream as well as the oxygen is in the bloodstream. So both these things must be carried to each and every part of the human body, and the energy must be provided to each and every part, right? So this would be done with the help of the circulatory system, which is heart. Heart helps in supplying oxygen as well as glucose throughout the body, and the breakdown of the glucose will also take place by providing energy to each and every part of the body. We have been talking about since many classes that breaking down the glucose and providing energy. The same topic is being repeated again and again. But to which part of the body does energy is being required? So where does the energy is being produced? The place of energy you must know before getting into the depth of the topics. Can you guess which part of the body requires energy? Is it muscles, or else blood, or else heart? Which part requires energy to function? The answer is each and every part of the body requires energy. So how can we able to supply energy to all parts of the body? Can you guess from what the human body is made up of? The human body is made up of cells. So each part of the human body is nothing but cells. Look into this diagram. These are different parts of the human being, and each part is made up of cells. But the cells of the heart is different from the cells of the brain, and it is different from the cells of the lung. So all the body parts are made up of different group of cells, and the group of cells is known as a tissue, and group of tissues is known as muscle, and the group of tissues is known as organ also. I'll repeat once again. A group of cells is known as tissue, and a group of tissues is known as organs. So each organ of human body require energy, and in each organ, each particular cell requires energy to function. Can you guess how many cells are there in human being? Human being is made up of trillion of cells. So the approx number being 30 trillion of cells. So each cell must require energy in order to function. So 30 trillion cells requires energy. So the breaking down of the glucose is done in all the cells. As each cell in human body requires energy to perform, so glucose would be provided to each cell, and wherein it would be broken down with the help of oxygen and energy is being released. So friends, 1 followed by 12 zeros is a trillion. So 30 trillion would be 3 followed by 13 zeros. So there should be a method wherein glucose and oxygen must be carried to each and every cell in human body in order to get the energy, and this would be done with the help of the heart, and heart helps in circulating glucose as well as oxygen through the blood. Blood plays the role in circulating the glucose and oxygen throughout the body. But in cellular respiration we have studied that glucose is being broken down with the presence of oxygen and energy is released. You are fine until here, but after that the byproducts are carbon dioxide and water vapor. So the carbon dioxide and water vapor must be collected from each and every cell after the process of breaking down, after the process of cellular respiration, and carbon dioxide and water vapor is collected back to the lungs and is expelled out of the human body through the nose. In simple, I'll explain you. The oxygen which is being taken by the lungs is given to the heart, and the heart distribute the oxygen to the entire body, and the heart, after distributing the oxygen, once the oxygen is being used by each and every cell, the carbon dioxide and water vapor would be produced, and the heart and the blood will collect the carbon dioxide and oxygen from the entire body, and it would be again sent through the system of so the carbon dioxide as well as the water vapor would be collected from each and every cell and would be given back to the lungs, and it would be thrown out of the human body. Hello friends, we will start with the third unit, heart, which is the circulatory system of human body. To start with, we will have a look at different internal structure and how the heart looks and different functions of different parts of the heart. So heart is said to be in the shape of a pear, and one more thing, the heart is narrower. Heart is narrower at the bottom part and it's wider at the upper part. You can observe that this is in the shape of a heart, right? It is broader at the upper part and narrower at the bottom side, which can be said as wider at the posterior end, narrower at the posterior end and wider at the anterior end. Anterior end means this is the anterior end and this is the posterior end. So we will look at some other diagram. In this diagram, it is being seen that the heart is being covered with a pericardial membrane. This is the pericardial membrane which covers the entire heart, and there are two layers of pericardial membranes, and between the two layers there is a fluid known as pericardial fluid. You can look at the fluid here, pericardial fluid. It is between the two layers of pericardial membrane. This pericardial fluid helps the heart in order to resist sudden shocks, such as sudden shocks when you are having any movement in the body. This will provide certain amount of support to the heart. Friends, look at this diagram. So the heart is made up of 4 chambers. These are the 4 chambers in heart. 4 chambers means you can think it as 4 rooms or else 4 boxes. There are 4 separate sections in heart, and that top left section is known as left atrium, the lower section is left ventricle, this is right atrium, and this is right ventricle. So you understood that the heart takes in oxygen from the lungs and distribute to the body, and after distributing of oxygen it collects carbon dioxide and again sends back the carbon dioxide to the lungs. So for your small information, the blood with oxygen is generally bright red in color, whereas the blood with carbon dioxide is dark red in color, or it is been shown as dark blue in color. So from this diagram you can understand that the left side is basically with respect to collecting oxygen rich blood, means it is been collecting oxygen from the lungs and it distributes the oxygen rich blood to the body, and the right part is with respect to the deoxygenated blood. Deoxygenated blood means the blood which doesn't have oxygen in it. Hope you are thorough with the 4 chambers in the heart. Hello friends, we will continue with the third unit, the circulatory system. So do you know the meaning of what is blood capillaries? Wait for a second, I will show you the diagram by which you can have a good understanding of what is blood capillaries are. So friends, I guess you remember this diagram from the unit respiration. These are the alveoles. This is the last stage of pathway of air, and from the alveolus the oxygen is being transferred into these are the capillary network which you can observe. So what is the difference between normal veins or nerves and capillary network? The word capillary is from the Latin, which means hair. So these nerves are as thin as hair. That is why it is being named as capillary network. So we will continue with the topic. So heart is made up of 4 chambers, which is left atrium, left ventricle, right ventricle, and right atrium. These 4 chambers can be imagined as 4 rooms. I am just giving you as an example of comparing these 4 chambers as rooms for your easy understanding. So the blood flows through all these 4 chambers separately. So all these 4 chambers are connected with different nerves. And one more important point, the left side of the heart contains the oxygenated blood. Oxygenated blood is a blood with oxygen in it, and the right side of the heart, these 2 chambers, contains the deoxygenated blood. Deoxygenated blood is the one which doesn't have oxygen and which have carbon dioxide in it. So friends, for easy understanding, I have included this diagram. We can understand what the heart does with the help of this simple diagram. Look at this figure. This is the heart, okay, and this is the left atrium, and this is the left ventricle, this is the right atrium, this is the right ventricle, and think this as the lungs. And from the alveolus, the capillary network would be surrounding the alveolus. You have studied that in the unit respiration. So the lungs will get the oxygen. From the lungs, the oxygen will move into the left atrium. Okay, you can see the channel of here. This is pulmonary vein. Pulmonary means which is related to lungs. Generally in medical terminology, pulmonary problem means lung problem. So this is the pulmonary vein. Pulmonary veins means nerves. Artery means nerves. Capillary means nerves. Nerves is a place wherein blood flows throughout the body. So with the help of pulmonary vein, the blood flows into the left atrium. From there it moves into the left ventricle. You can observe here, small opening. From the left ventricle, it moves through the entire body. It moves to the entire body. So oxygen rich blood, which is the oxygenated blood, moves to the entire body with the help of the left ventricle, and this is known as this is an artery. And the oxygen rich blood, oxygen will be used by the body, and you know that for energy the body requires oxygen to break down the glucose. So the energy has been produced and the body has used the oxygen. Now after using the oxygen and energy is being released, it would be converted into byproducts are carbon dioxide and water vapor, right? So the carbon dioxide is present over here. You can observe that the color has been changed to blue, dark blue, you can say that, because of the presence of carbon dioxide, as the cellular respiration happened over here. And the body with carbon dioxide present in the blood flows back to the right side of the atrium. You can observe the channel here, right side of the atrium, and from there it moves to the right ventricle, and from there it moves back to the lungs. Again in the lungs, the deoxygenated blood, the blood with carbon dioxide in it, will be exchanged by oxygenated blood. So the lungs will exchange the carbon dioxide and give back the oxygen to it, and again the flow continues. Hello friends, so we will continue with the topic, the circulatory system. Before getting into the topic, I want to tell you a small thing. From the unit heart, generally in the exams the question would be asked indirectly. So if you doesn't have thorough understanding about the internal structure of heart and each and every part of the heart, you won't be able to answer the questions properly. Many students from the previous batch, even though they have learned everything from the textbook, they doesn't have the link regarding what particular part do what function. So when they are answering a question which is being framed indirectly, the answer to the maximum extent, almost 40 students out of the 50 will be giving a wrong answer to the question. So this batch, make sure that you have thorough understanding of each and every part of the heart. This is the only reason I have been revising again and again from the starting with respect to the heart. You most probably you won't be asked with a lengthy question. The questions would be 1 mark or 2 marks, or even if it is coming for a 4 mark question, it would be again divided into 1 mark questions. You will be having 4 1 mark questions in the section, in the third section. So in this video I'll give you the entire understanding about the heart. So heart is made up of 4 chambers, you all know this. The left ventricle, the left atrium, the left ventricle, the right atrium, and the right ventricle. So these two are the atriums, these two are the ventricles. You know this thing, right? So the heart receives the blood with the help of the atriums only. So the blood which flows to the heart is with the help of atrium. You understood in the last video that, I'll just a second, I'll keep that diagram. So friends, in this diagram you understood that the heart receives the blood from the lungs, which is the oxygen rich blood which is supplied to the atrium. So the heart is receiving the blood here with the help of the left atrium. As well, you can observe that the heart is receiving blood from the body which is deoxygenated to the right atrium. So the heart is receiving to the atriums, right, to the left atrium here. So the heart will pump the blood back to the body with the help of the left ventricle. You can see here, left ventricle is pumping the blood to the body, whereas the right ventricle is pumping the blood back to the lungs. So it is clear that the receiving part of the blood by the heart is with the help of the atriums, and the pumping of the blood from the heart is done by the ventricles. Now I will add 2 points to the diagram. The nerves with the help of which the heart receives the blood. the heart receives the blood with the help of the nerve known as veins. The nerves by which the heart receives the blood are known as veins. So this is pulmonary vein. The oxygen rich blood is being supplied to the heart with the help of pulmonary vein, and in the right atrium also the blood is being received. So even this is a vein which is known as this vein is being divided into two parts. One is superior vena cava and the other one is inferior vena cava. Superior vena cava is the one which receives the blood from the upper section of the body, whereas the inferior vena cava is the one which receives the blood from the lower sections, lower parts of the body. So as I said you, the ventricles plays the part of pumping the blood to the body or to the lungs. The left ventricle functions as pumping the body to the pumping the blood to the entire body. So it would be done with the help of the arteries. The heart generally pumps the blood with the help of arteries, means the flow of blood from the heart is done with the help of arteries. The flow of blood to the heart is done with the help of veins, that is atriums receive blood to the heart with the help of veins, and ventricle sends the blood out of the heart with the help of arteries. So the left ventricle, you can observe in here, left ventricle pumps the blood with the help of aorta. Aorta is an artery. It pumps with the help of the blood vessel, the nerve, which is aorta. Aorta supplies blood to the entire body, and from there the deoxygenated blood is been coming back to the right atrium, and the right ventricle pumps the blood to the lungs, so that the deoxygenated blood would be replaced by the oxygenated one, so that the carbon dioxide is given back to the lungs and oxygen is being taken back by the lungs. So the right ventricle supplies the blood to the lungs with the help of pulmonary artery. This is known as pulmonary artery. This is known as pulmonary vein. This is pulmonary artery, and this thing is aorta. Aorta it supplies oxygenated blood to the entire body, and this is super vena cava and inferior vena cava, superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. So friends, I have took this diagram from your textbook for your easy understanding. You can look in here. The left atrium is being supplied by the oxygen and rich blood with the help of pulmonary veins. These are the pulmonary veins, and the blood flows from the left atrium to the left ventricle, and this is a valve kind of a structure which is being situated between left atrium and left ventricle. So what is the role of valve? Hope you know that the valves are generally present in the water tanks. So the role of the valve is to close the water tank in case of some repair has been happening in it. In the same way, there is a valve in between the left atrium and the left ventricle. So the blood flows from the lungs. Think as the lungs with the help. Think you have seen in the last diagram that from the lungs the blood flows to the left atrium with the help of the pulmonary veins, and from the atrium the blood moves to the left ventricle through the bicuspid valve. This is the bicuspid valve. The white structure in here is the bicuspid valve. So once the blood flows from the atrium to the ventricle, the bicuspid valve will close, and there would be an expansion of the left side of the ventricle. Once the left side of the ventricle expand, it will pump the blood back to the body with the help of the aorta. You can observe the aorta here. It is connected with the aorta here. It is connected with the left ventricle. In the diagram, the connection has not been shown because it is on the back side. The connection is being on the back side. The aorta which supplies blood to the artery to the left arm means it supplies blood to the left arm, it supplies blood to the head, as well as it supplies to the entire body. After that, the blood will turn into, the oxygen would be absorbed by the body and the carbon dioxide will be released in the blood. So the blood containing the carbon dioxide would come back to the heart with the help of superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. Generally vena cava, sorry, superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. These move to the right atrium. The deoxygenated blood moves to the right atrium in here, and from the right atrium it moves to the right ventricle. From the right ventricle it again moves to the lungs with the help of the pulmonary artery, which is being mentioned here. Observe the pulmonary artery in the blue color. You can see that these are blue in color because of the deoxygenated blood. And there is a valve in between the right atrium and right ventricle, which is known as the tricuspid valve. Even the valve will close down once the blood moves from the right atrium to the right ventricle. So friends, how do you think the heart will function? Generally, the blood would be received at a particular point of time to both the atriums. So both the atrium, left atrium as well as the right atrium, will receive the blood at the same time, and at the same time it would be pushed to the ventricles, and the both ventricles will expand and pump back the blood to the different parts of the human body as well as to the lungs. So atriums function at the same time as well as ventricle function at the same time. It's not the circulation doesn't happen at 4 time periods, that is, it doesn't go in a circle. Both these atrium function together. Both these atrium will receive the blood, and this will pump the blood to the ventricles, and both the ventricles will pump out the blood back to the entire body and to the lungs. In simple words, you can say that the atriums receive the blood at one point of time, and in the next, after the completion of the blood flow to the ventricles, it would be pumped out of the heart. So heart receives the blood at a particular point with the help of atrium, and it pumps back the blood out of the heart. In the next, after the completion of the first process, the second process will occur. So friends, in the last class you might have thorough understanding about the topic and different kinds of internal structure of the heart. So in this class we will sum up the entire topic once again. So the heart receives the blood with the help of the atriums, both these atriums, and from the lungs it will receive the blood with the help of the pulmonary veins, and it flows back to the left ventricle, and from the left ventricle it would be sent to the entire body with the help of aorta, and from the body the heart will receive the blood with the help of superior vena cava and inferior vena cava, and it moves to the right atrium, and from the right atrium it flows back to the right ventricle, and from the right ventricle it would be sent back to the lungs with the help of the pulmonary artery. So one more small thing which you can observe here is that the walls of these ventricles are thick, whereas the walls of the atriums are thin. Wall mean you can look at the wall with the yellow lining in it. These walls are thick. Can you guess why the walls of the ventricles are thick? Wait a second, I will show you a small video. By looking at it, I guess you can be able to answer this question. So friends, look at this image. This is a graphic image of the real heart. So observe the image. You can find that this is the ventricle part, this is the atrium part. So what is happening with the ventricle part? It is been expanding and been reducing in size. When the heart is been expanding, it is receiving the blood from the atrium, and both the valves will be closed in the atriums. The tricuspid valve and the bicuspid valve will be closed, and there would be a maximum amount of blood in the ventricle. At the same time, the heart contracts itself and push the blood outside the heart. So by looking at this image, you can understand that the ventricle part is been contracting and expanding. So because of it, the walls of the ventricles are thick. So friends, coming back to the image, you might have got the answer to my question, why the walls of the ventricles are thick. Because of the expansion and contraction, and because of that movement, the heart is able to pump the blood. Hello friends, in this video we will learn about some of the major contribution of the scientist to the field of circulatory systems. So before getting into the topic, I'll ask you a small question. What do you think the thickness of the nerves would be? Is it going to be same throughout the body, or does it differ? The answer to this question can be observed with the help of the diagram. I'll show you. So look at the graphical image of the nervous system in human body. Generally the nerve would be starting from the heart, right? You have studied that each atrium, each ventricle have a nerve which is been starting, and as the nerve progresses throughout the body, it would be branched and the thickness will also decrease in size, and the last phase can be known as the capillary network. I have mentioned in the previous class that capillaries is a Latin word which means hair. So the thickness of the capillary network is as thin as hair. So this is the last phase. So in simple, you can know that the nerves near to the heart are thicker, and the nerves as they progresses farthest from the heart are thin. So friends, this is the image of Girolamo Fibrecki. So he done a research in the year 1574 where he mentioned that when a person is in a standing position, you know that hope you know that inferior vena cava, which carries the deoxygenated blood from the body, from the lower parts of the human body to the heart. So the blood is moving from the legs towards the heart with respect to inferior vena cava, which supplies the deoxygenated blood from the lower parts of the human body to the heart. So the blood is moving from lower part, that is from the legs to the heart. So the blood is moving in an upward direction against the gravity force of the earth, right? The blood is moving in the upward direction. But there is a question over here, that is, how come the blood is moving in an upward direction and not in the direction of the gravity? So the liquid should be coming down, right, with the force of the gravity, but it is against the gravity and moving towards the heart. How come it is happening in the veins? So friends, I'll explain you this with the help of a small diagram. Look at this diagram, friends. Think these are as your nerves which are in your legs. So when you are standing and squeezing your thigh muscles, the blood will flow in an upward direction towards the heart. So when the blood is flowing in an upward direction, you can observe in here the valves in the veins would be open, so the blood moves in an upward direction. But the valves, as soon as the blood moves in an upward direction, would be closed, so it won't allow the blood to travel back in the opposite direction. This is how the valves in the nerves or veins would be made in the human body. So friends, this is the image of William Harvey. He has studied under the Fibrecki. So you can call him as a student of Fibrecki. So in his experiment, he has cut open the hearts of he has dissected, means he has opened the hearts of many animals, or he has cut the body and looked at the heart in real of many animals. I will explain you the research being done by the William Harvey on real animals. So think this as a real heart. So what William Harvey did is he cut the body of the animal and observed the heart in real. So he tied a rope to this. You know this is pulmonary artery. He tied a rope here. He closed the pulmonary artery with a rope, and he observed that the blood should move. Atrium would supply the blood to the ventricle, right? So the ventricle would be filled with the blood, and the blood will try to move to the arteries. So if we tie a rope here, this part would be having a bulge, right? Artery would be showing a bulge towards the heart. That is, this part would be showing a bulge, whereas this is an superior vena cava and this is inferior vena cava. If we tie a rope here to the vena cava, to the vein, the bulge would be showed here because blood would be coming to the atrium, so the bulge would happen here. In case of artery, the bulge would happen towards the heart. In case of a vein, the bulge would happen far from the heart. So friends, we can understand this experiment by looking at the image. Think this is as a vein, and here this is as a artery. So with respect to the vein, if you are closing a vein, the bulge is happening here because the blood is trying to go towards the heart, because vein supplies blood to the atriums, which means that with the help of the vein, the blood is being transported towards the heart. So the bulge is happening here, but with the help of the artery, the heart supplies the blood to the entire body, right? So if we close the artery, the bulge is happening towards the heart, right? This is the closing of the vein, and this is the closing of the artery. When we close the vein, the bulge is happening far from the heart, means this part of the vein will have the bulge. Hello friends, this is the continuation of the topic, contribution of different scientists towards the circulatory system. We have studied that how the Harvey have done research with respect to the dissecting an animal and observing the different flow of blood towards the heart and far from the heart. So now Marcello Malpighi, the person in this image is Marcello Malpighi. He observed in the year 1961 the capillary network in the bat. Until this time, William Harvey was before him. So Marcello Malpighi studied some of the research of William Harvey, but during the time of the Harvey, he was not able to observe the capillary network because it would be thin as a hair, so he can't be able to observe the capillary network in an animal or human beings. But it was Marcello Malpighi who has observed the capillary network by using a microscope. He has made a microscope in such a way that the smallest, the thinnest capillary network can be observed with the microscope he has made. So you can observe these are some of the capillary networks in the wings of a bat. This was being observed by Marcello Malpighi for the first time. So he was the first person to look into the capillary network. Hello friends, look at this diagram. This is about single circulation and double circulation. Double circulation generally happens in almost all the animals as well as human beings, whereas single circulation happens in fishes, aquatic animals. First we will have a look at the double circulation. You understood this diagram, I guess. I have explained you this diagram many times in the previous videos. Double circulation, it is known as double circulation because the blood flow from the heart will happen twice. That is the reason why human beings will have the double circulatory system. And in order to have a simple understanding, you can observe that there are two circles being formed in these diagrams. These are the two circles. One flow would be there from the lungs, and again it would be moving back to the body, and from the body it would be received to the heart again, and it will again move into the lungs. So there are two circles being formed in the double circulatory systems. This is the reason why this kind of circulation system is known as double circulatory system, wherein the flow of blood happens twice by the heart. With respect to the single circulatory system, you can observe that in fish, with the help of the ventricle, the blood is being pumped to the body, and the blood goes to the gills, and the fish will receive the oxygen with the help of the gill, and from there the blood will receive the oxygen and it would be supplied to the entire body, and again it comes back to the heart with the help of the atrium. So there is a single circle being formed in here. This is quite simple, but this is a bit complicated and complex. This is single circulatory system and this is double circulatory system. Hello friends, so we will start with the next topic, the cardiac cycle. So the cardiac cycle happen in phases. Generally in the first phase, you can observe that these two are the atriums. Combined together, these are known as the atrias. So in the first phase, the contraction of the atria happens. When the contraction of atria happens, the blood will flow into the ventricles. Both these ventricles will receive the blood. When the blood is being received by the ventricles start to expand. After that, the ventricles will contract and send the blood out of the heart. So two things are happening in here. Atria are sending blood to ventricles, and ventricles are sending blood back to the body. When the atriums get contracted, the blood will flow into the ventricles, and when the ventricles get contracted, the blood will flow out of the heart. So the atria contraction takes about 0.11 to 0.14 seconds, whereas the ventricle contraction takes about 0.27 to 0.35 seconds. So in this diagram you can observe that there is one thing as contraction in here, the other one is a relaxation. Relaxation is a time period when the blood is getting filled in the particular atria or ventricle. So you have understood that there is contraction and relaxation of atria and ventricle happening here. So atria contraction will take about 0.11 seconds, maximum of 0.11 to 0.14 seconds, whereas the ventricle contraction takes about 0.27 to 0.35 seconds. So the contraction phase is known as the systole phase, whereas the relaxation phase is known as the diastole phase. Both of them combined together will take about 0.8 seconds, which is lesser than a second. So both the contraction and relaxation of atria and ventricles is called together as a cardiac cycle. When the blood is being given to the ventricles by the atria to both the ventricles, the valve is getting closed. You can observe the valve is getting closed after the contraction. When the valve is getting closed, you can hear the sharp sound which is lub. Lub is the sound which is made by the heart during the contraction of the after the contraction of the atrium, and because of the closure of the valves, the lub sound is being made, which is generally sharp, means which is loud, a bit stronger than the other dub. And in the second phase, you can see that there are valves in the artery which is aorta, and the other aorta is this one, this is pulmonary artery. Both these things have valves in it. You can observe the valve in here. When the ventricle pushes the blood into the arteries, even the valves will get closed in order to avoid the backflow of blood into the ventricles. Even the arrows which are being shown in this image, which are being shown in this video, are in a perfect way to explain you. So when these valves which are in the arteries are getting closed, you can hear a dull sound which is dub.